My name is Dibala, and now we want to buckle down to a discussion looking at the judicial independence, which we know it's a very concrete expression of the principles of governance when it comes to separation of power, rule of law, and of course the executive as it stands. Lately we've seen a very sustained attack on the judiciary and their independence, and this has been on social media. Press statements have been given as well, and also the contest with some also of the senior councils here in the country. So what is the state of the judiciary and its independence in relation to the executive, and also what is the state of the independence of the judiciary when it comes also to them executing their work without any interference as well? We know Kenya is a constitutional democracy, and I want to just give a hearty welcome to Joshua Kiptoo, Advocate of the High Court, and Joshua Nyamori as well, Advocate of the High Court, waiting for Paul Macharia, who I think has slept through the alarm. He's not here yet, who will be joining us momentarily. But maybe just to begin on a lighter note, all of you, are you doing well? Let's begin with you, Joshua Nyamori. Good morning, good to see you.
Yeah, good morning, Dibal. I'm doing well.
You're doing well?
Yeah, from the lakeside yesterday.
How is it on the lakeside? Is it raining?
Yeah, it rained the last week, but the weekend was not raining. Yeah.
Okay.
We are still just celebrating the railway.
The euphoria of railway is still fresh.
Exactly.
In the region, right? Joshua Kiptoo, good morning, good to see you.
Good morning, good to see you too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so lately we've seen what is ongoing so far. Maybe we can begin with the vacant seats. That will be a good place to start, and the faces that have been shortlisted so far. I don't know if it is a good way to say, hey, who do you think is likely to make it? Who do you think really stands the chance, looking at the background, the experience, the expertise as well? Let's just begin with Joshua, right?
Yeah, I think, Dibal, you are asking us to speculate on a role.
Speculation is good.
Yes, yes. I think the advocates that have been nominated have gone through a due process. And for me, I look at all the names, I see experience, I see skill, I see, character in all of them that make them eligible. I think they will, those who will end up on that bench would add value to the nation. Yes.
All right. Kiptoo?
Good.
He's been greatly shared to many.
In reference to the Supreme Court, right?
Yes.
So in this case, I think the judicial way of appointing is is always not so obvious, the way we always look at things. There's a bit of, they still carry the persona of executive appointments in a way. The idea of balancing, the idea of ensuring that there is the principle of inclusivity. You always see around 30-40% of that when it comes to the appointments. And if you are to apply that 30-40% rule on that front, then you look at a Supreme Court, for example, that does not have a Muslim presence with the death of the late Justice. Muhammad. So that means that segment of the population may not feel represented, because Supreme Court is more like a political court, not 100% judicial. It is more political court, because even if you look at its jurisdiction, it's mostly constitutional matters and matters of high public interest. So it's more political than even judicial in nature. And if you look at judicial jurisprudence, you'd rather find precedents up to the Court of Appeal level and not per se Supreme Court. Supreme Court, of course, being the final apex court, but mostly based on their limited jurisdiction and the nature of matters coming to them, would be kind of a court that the Judicial Service Commission would be definitely have that. I feel that we need to have a face of Kenya and more or less like an inclusivity principle. So that I'll give it 40%, that consideration that there's no Muslim presence in that particular bench.
But
That's one.
It is very substantive though.
Very substantive, because that's why I give it 40%.
40%, yeah.
Then the 60% is what then comes into considerations in terms of the nature of the persona. And I think so far so good. The ones shortlisted all qualify. With a limited degree of differences between them. There are those that have been proper in the judiciary, like the likes of Justice Tuyot. Those ones have been already in judiciary. And then you have those new entrants like Katwa, Kigen. So from what I observed in the last round of judicial appointments, especially at the Court of Appeal, I saw the Judicial Service Commission being slightly bending on the side of those that have already been in the judiciary. They look for the judicial ready material rather than people coming from outside, whether from practice, whether from civil society or the rest of the things. Because I remember, if I was to remember the Court of Appeal interviews, I had my former colleague and my teacher, Gaya Kech, Prof, which by all intents and purposes, you would actually give it a pass and assume that this is a shoe-in, based on his qualification, based on his area of expertise, being administrative law, but that didn't count. You saw the scales tilting.
From the academia? Yes,
from the academia.
Yes.
And I saw the scales tilting more on the part of judges. Mostly the Court of Appeal team were taken from those who had been serving in the High Court. So if that again comes into play, I give it another 40%, which then favors the likes of Justice Warsame in that particular lineup, because he's been a High Court judge, he's been a Court of Appeal judge, so it will be more or less like a step up. Maybe that applies to, so if because you'll be forcing me to make a bet, I'll think those are the considerations that can be able to come. So that makes, for example, on one part, someone like Justice Warsame very formidable because of inclusivity and having been in the bench. You also have Justice Tuyot having been in the bench, of course. And then maybe the rest, again, it's on competence. So the rest are all competent.
Okay.
So if you balance it off, you leave it at that.
Right.